Ooh, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? I am the Story Driven Gamer, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're doing something a little different. I haven't done a video on the channel before where I just sit down in front of the camera and talk about a specific topic, but this is one that I've been wanting to talk about increasingly for a while now. At first, I didn't want to talk about it at all, or it wasn't something that I was just interested in talking that much, but obviously if you've clicked on the video, you know we're going to be talking about Hogwarts Legacy and the controversy surrounding it. And at first, I didn't, I didn't see the need to really address it all that much. But I would say about the month leading up to Hogwarts Legacy's release, just the discourse surrounding the game has really gone up and up and up and up as we get closer and closer to the game. And I was like, maybe I'll address it, briefly at the, when I upload my first video, because I will be doing a Let's Play. You can be sure of that. Yeah, I kind of just thought, maybe I'll say a little something, give my brief thoughts before I jump in, but so much has been happening, that the more I thought about it, I'm like, I kind of have a lot to say about this particular subject, so I'm like, why not make a video about it? That way, this can be where I address it, and I don't need to talk about it all that much while I'm playing the game. If anybody, wants to know, I can just direct them to this video and be like, I'll put the link in the description. Have at it, So, for those of you that don't know, Hogwarts Legacy is an action RPG set in the Harry Potter universe, so the Wizarding world. But it takes place, in the 1800s, so way before Voldemort, Grindelwald, Harry Potter himself. I don't think there's going to be many characters that we know. Probably a lot of ghosts and characters that have been dead for a long time. Like, I'm sure, the House Ghost, like Nearly Headless Nick, the Bloody Baron, Helena Ravenclaw, those type of characters. I think Peeves we saw in a trailer. Maybe some relatives of characters that we know, but other than that, they're all, I was going to say they're all gone. They're not born yet, or they don't exist yet, many of them. But I also find that really cool. It's going to be a completely separate, self-contained story, and we're going to get into the story, because that's part of the controversy. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, I can't tell you how excited I am. I want to start the episode positively by just gushing over how excited I am for this game. I've been waiting 20 years for a game like this. I'm sure I'm not alone there. And it's finally here. I hope you guys are excited. Feel free to let me know in the comments what your excitement level is for this game. Unfortunately, we can't have nice things. There's a whole buttload of controversy surrounding this game. It's not even just the game itself, it's Harry Potter and the Wizarding world. Briefly, for those that may not be familiar, if you live under a rock or something, I don't know. It goes back to J.K. Rowling and some things that she said on Twitter that I don't even really disagree with. We'll get into the specifics in a moment. But she said some things that got the negative attention of the trans community, or at least certain trans activists and LGBTQ activists. And yes, I'm going to use the word activist because I'm not trying to say that all trans people or people, who consider themselves LGBTQ or just, gay, bi, whatever, just hate J.K. Rowling just because they are trans or whatever. It's not... I know there are people who, even if they don't like her, still want to play the game. And there are even trans people who don't have any problem really with what she said. But you have a very loud minority of people on the internet who just want to boycott the game and just say how you're a horrible person for supporting it and all that, and it's just not... It's not right, but it is entertaining, to say the least. And it's just, like I said, this last month has just been... They've just been going at it in many different ways. We'll go into the specifics in a moment. If you know anything about J.K. Rowling, she's a very hardcore feminist. Apparently not hardcore enough, because the trans community seems to hate her. But she fights for, women's safe spaces and keeping, trans women, or aka men, out of them, locker rooms, bathrooms, that's been a very big debate, and something that I don't think should be. It should be kind of obvious, but, she says, men shouldn't be sharing a locker room with women or going to the bathroom with women, and They hate her for that. Same thing with the sports debate, right? Like trans women or men competing against biological women, and how there's anybody with a functioning brain knows that men, generally speaking, right, have biological advantages when it comes to athleticism, strength, and all that. But they don't care because in their minds, and I'm not even 100% sure they truly believe it 100%. But they always just spew the mantra, trans women are women, right? Trans men are men, because they want to convince you and probably themselves to a certain extent that that is true, right? That there is no difference between somebody who is born a woman or born a man and somebody who thinks they are a man or woman. That's where it stems from. And of course that leaks into Hogwarts Legacy because, it's she herself has like zero connection to it in terms of, she didn't write the story or anything. But she's of course getting royalties, and that's enough for people to say, like, you need to boycott this game. And yeah, and like I said, I really have no issue. I kind of agree with her. We probably don't align politically on most things, but this is one instance where I'm like, yeah, I don't see anything wrong here. So, like I said, it's been very entertaining to see the results. I don't want to get into specifically some of the reactions from trans activists and whatnot that, regards to this game. So obviously we talked about, they want, they're boycotting the game. They don't want to give them a cent. They don't want you to buy it either. They've been harassing people who work on the game, whether it be devs, voice actors. By virtue of just being part of this project, they hate, they hate our guts, or hate their guts. Like, there was one of the big things that happened. It was amusing, but it really boiled my blood a little bit. Was, you might be familiar with limited run games. There's a controversy there, which in its entirety doesn't even necessarily have to do specifically with Hogwarts Legacy, but I believe that was the starting point, because this individual who worked at limited run games, who has now been fired, got in this trans activist crosshairs because she tweeted something about liking Hogwarts Legacy, and that's enough to spur some crazy person to look into your history and background and try and smear you. And that's what they did. And what he found was, he found one tweet from 7 years ago that was quote-unquote anti-trans. It wasn't even that bad. And then she followed a handful of conservative accounts, like, what were they? Like, I think Ian Chung was one. I think Dave Rubin, Libs of TikTok, and so forth. Just various right-wing conservative accounts. And he tweeted limited run games like, this is unacceptable. I am not spending another cent on your stuff if you don't fire this person immediately. One person. This is one person who tweeted this, and limited run games the same day was like, oh, we value all opinions, but screw this girl. We're taking care of her. She's fired. She's no longer with us. That's what they said in a nutshell. They had the audacity to start it off with, we respect all points of view. Oh, really? Do you? So, apparently you didn't respect her point of view. This, I think Kara is her name, who was fired just because she followed some accounts, tweeted something 7 years ago. That's enough, right? And it's ironic, because if you go to Limited Run Games Twitter now, all their comments, which are it's just usually promotional stuff. They're promoting different products or whatever. Replies are all off. Because before the replies were all off, the comments, as you would imagine, are full of people, just like, oh, I'm never spending money on you guys ever again. You really effed up. You really screwed up. And I'm talking loads of people. So one trans activist, this loser, was able to get this woman fired. But, like, thousands of people, showing their disdain and dislike for the company. There's like, I was going to mute the replies and keep going about our day. It just doesn't make sense. It shows how much power, they go on about how they're a marginalized group, but it just shows how much power they really wield, especially in a situation like this. And then one of the more amusing ones was the Steam tags. I actually got a kick out of this one. They were trying to put, like, false tags on the Steam page. So, like, genocide simulator, anti-Semitic. We'll get into why in a moment. It was just funny, and then it did nothing. If anything, it made people more interested in the game. It was either the number one pre-ordered game, No, I think it was just the best-selling game, and it's not even out yet, which is wild. So I got a kick out of it. So clearly they're going they're going nuts. They're going mental trying to get this game. I mean, they're not going to get it canceled, but they're trying to do everything in their power to stop you and me and everyone else who wants to play this game from playing it. And it's really sad and disgusting, frankly. One of the other things I want to touch on is how, because I've seen this, and it's only happened again since J.K. Rowling came out and said what she said. People have been going back and trying to pick apart, these activists specifically, pick apart the books and just pick out all these nasty messaging, taking things out of context and text and just making things up about what's going on in her books or whatever, and ignoring the good themes about loyalty and friendship and how your choices matter and all this positive stuff. Ignore that, but she's transphobic because she had this in the book and that, and I have some specifics here, like the house elf slavery thing. You can imagine, before I even say a word, you can imagine why these people would have a problem with that storyline or that arc, whatever you want to call it, right? Because they have to take everything and put it through. If we use America, for example, Americans act especially on the left, more on the left, they act like American slavery is the only slavery to ever exist, and they look at every instance of slavery through that lens. So a fictional world where these fictional creatures are kind of treated as second-class citizens, and largely speaking, wizards, a lot of wizards, rich, more on the rich side and pure blood side, own them and often might mistreat them and stuff. There seems it shows she's pro-slavery. I'm like, really? Because these fictional creatures are slaves in this made-up universe? You think that she's pro-slavery? That doesn't even logically make sense. Just because a theme or something is in your book doesn't mean you're endorsing it. It's just weird. They're just cherry picking, right? The other one that I don't even fully understand is there was a little controversy about Rita Skeeter being a trans allegory. Something to do with her. I think when she's first introduced in the Goblet of Fire, her description is she has mannish hands and something about a mannish jawline or something. So they're it's a negative trans allegory, caricature type thing. And I was like, what? What? That's one that didn't really even make all that much sense to me. It would have to be interesting to go back, and I'm sure somebody somewhere wrote an article about it. I don't know that I really care, but it might be interesting to go back and read and see what their argument is. It's been a while. I just saw some threads that I remember reading about it. Well, and then this one actually ties to the story of this game, Hogwarts Legacy, and that has to do with the anti-Semitic goblins, in quotes. Basically the goblins in the Harry Potter universe, because they resemble some old caricatures of Jewish people as goblins. I don't even know if they were supposed to be goblins, but these old characters, and they're these kind of admittedly goblin-y looking characters with long noses. But that's pretty much where the similarity ends. So they're they're, J.K. Rowling put the goblins as Jews in your book. That's anti-Semitic. And then, of course, because they run the wizard bank, and then there's this stereotype about, Jews and money, so they're she's anti-Semitic, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, first of all, we don't really get a good look at the goblins. Now, I'm trying to think. I could be wrong. I don't know if there's been any depictions of goblins before the first movie came out. But I know that's the first time I would have seen a goblin in person. I mean, on visually. So if anything, the creature artist is the anti-Semitic. No, I'm kidding. I don't think anyone in this situation is, but it's it's just dumb. It's all just dumb. And again, the books haven't changed, right? These things were in the books even before J.K. Rowling said all this trans stuff and got these trans people to hate her. But these things weren't talked about before that, because they didn't care. You know, a lot of these trans people probably even read the books and didn't have a problem with these things at the time. But because they hate J.K. Rowling now, they have to go back and, again, cherry pick and demonize her further by saying, look at all these like little things that are racist or anti-Semitic or what have you in her book. See, she really is a transphobic, despicable person. And it's just dumb. It's just really dumb. So going back, speaking of the anti-Semitic goblins, though, that's part of the controversy surrounding this game, because the story, as I know it, surrounds, it's about the main bad guy is a goblin, and he's leading a goblin rebellion, right? And he's teaming up with dark wizards, and we're the ones who are we're on the side of fighting against the goblin rebellion. So you can see how, like, in these activists' eyes, the goblins are the real heroes or whatever, fighting oppression, and the wizards are really the bad guys, but the story's trying to spin it. First of all, we don't know how the story is going to handle it. Maybe, for all we know, maybe we come to realize that the goblins are in the right. Maybe. I don't know. I've also been entertaining the idea, since it is an RPG. I don't know how much player choice is going to be in this game, because I know a lot of RPGs do, like Mass Effect, and, a lot of BioWare games, and even Skyrim to a certain extent. You can make choices and do things. We already know that you can be a good or an evil wizard, right? So that says to me that there's some kind of probably morality system, right? At least you would think. So yeah, so maybe like if you're a good wizard, maybe you end up like siding with the goblins and realizing they're the right. Maybe if you're an evil wizard, maybe that leads you down a more evil path of the story. We don't know. We don't know how the story itself is going to handle it. So it's too early to make any argument about this. But again, just because there are goblins, and again, they've already established that they're Jews apparently, or at least represent Jews. We'll just have to wait and see how the game is. I mean, I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be totally fine, but we shall see. I just want to answer the question I posed. What are my views on the Hogwarts Legacy controversy? It's probably obvious at this point, like where I stand, but just going to sum it up in, very briefly. I'm not going to say anything super profound here, and that's probably what many of you are already thinking. If you don't want to play this game for any reason, you don't have to. If you think J.K. Rowling is worse than Hitler and you don't want her to get another penny from you, fine. I disagree with you, but that's your prerogative. If you don't want to play the game because, I don't know, because you just don't like Harry Potter and it just doesn't interest you as an IP, totally valid. If maybe the game in and of itself just doesn't look fun to you, maybe you're not into RPGs or you don't like the art style, maybe that turns you off. All valid reasons, right? I can't think of any reason that isn't valid for you not to play it. Play it if you want. It's your money. Spend it, if you don't want to spend the money on it, fine. Wait for a sale if maybe you're moderately interested or something, whatever. The problem I have, and I'm sure many of you have, is these same people, they're not content to just not play the game, right? If they were, they just wouldn't play it, But they have to ensure that you and I don't play it either. And obviously there's nothing they can actually do to stop me or you from playing it, but they are trying. They're at least trying to, emotionally blackmail us, right? To say that, like, oh, you're a horrible person, you're a transphobe, you're not an ally. I guess I'm not. I guess I'm not an LGBTQ ally. What can I say? If being a trans ally or LGBTQ, whatever, ally, means I have to follow your laundry list of demands of what I can and can't play or consume or watch or buy, then I want nothing to do with it. I want nothing to do with it. And I know there's lots of people who are feeling the same way. I kind of just want to experience it for myself at this point, because I am going into this game completely 100% guilt-free. And I guess the last thing I want to say before I go is just that if you are somebody who's on the fence, maybe you don't like J.K. Rowling all that much, but you still love Harry Potter and want to play this, but maybe you're torn, especially because of all the trans activists are saying, and you're like, I really love Harry Potter. I've been a fan since the beginning, since the movies, whenever. But, I don't want to hurt trans people, whatever. I say, screw him. I say, don't even worry about trying to appease them, because you can't. And, play the game. They love to say, like, oh, if you give J.K. Rowling your money, she is, it's going to actively hurt trans people. It's like, no, it's not. Like, what is she doing with the money from this game? Is she going to go buy some weapons and, go out and, slaughter trans people in the dead of night? Like, what is... Like, they don't have an answer for that. They can't tell you specifically what's going to happen. It's just because she has, I don't even want to call them anti-trans views. They're just, she questions some of their ideology. That's enough with, like, oh, she's actively harming trans people. It's like, no, she's not. So you don't have to feel guilty about it. Again, I'm not trying to convince you to play the game if you don't want to. I'm just saying if you're on the fence and you feel guilty supporting J.K. Rowling or whatever, but you really want to play the game, just don't let it, don't let it consume you. Just do what you feel you want to do, and don't let anybody else tell you you can't or can't play the game. Do what you want to do. And that's my lighthearted message to leave off on. I'm excited. If that wasn't clear, let me know in the comments what you think about the game, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. That's all I got to say for now. So if you did enjoy the video, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. You can hit the notification bell so you know when more videos go up, including the Hogwarts Legacy LP that will be going up, very soon after the game comes out. I love pretty much everything I played on the channel, but this is a special game, and I really hope it's good, because after all this, it would suck if it's terrible. But I really don't see that happening. I at least expect it to be really good. I hope so. But either way, Harry Potter is just a special IP, a special series. I love it to death, and I'm so excited for this one. So I hope you guys will join me on the adventure. Until then, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. So take care, and bye-bye.